the German verb werden. In today's video, I will show you all the special things you have to pay attention to in connection with the verb werden. Because werden is a very special verb in German that it's used in many different situations as a main verb, but also as an auxiliary verb. Hi, my name is Jan and I'm your German teacher here on EasyDeutsch, your YouTube channel for German grammar. Today's topic is the verb werden. Werden, I'm pretty sure you have seen this already plenty of times in sentences because you actually use it in, well, not every sentence, but very, very often. And with the help of my ebook, German Grammar Explained Easily, I will teach you now everything you have to know about werden. So let's switch into my ebook. So we're now in my ebook, German Grammar Explained Easily. And today's topics is verbs. And what are verbs? Is there a difference between German and English verbs? So let's jump right there. Equal to English, in German, a verb is something that expresses an action, a process, or a state. That's exactly the same, English, German. Laufen, for example, is to walk, fahren, to drive, kaufen, to buy, and wachsen, to grow. They describe an action or a process of doing something. And then we have the second group that actually describes a state. Like sein is to be, haben, to have, stehen, to stand, sitzen, to sit. And those are the two main verbs in terms of the main groups, in terms of what they actually mean. So it's always something that's happening or a state. And of course, verbs tell you if something is happening in the past, in the present, or in the future. That means you have to change them according to the tense. That's the exact same thing. You have to do this in English too. If you want to learn more about tenses, I have an entire playlist about German tenses that I will link in the info cards for you right now. Let's have a look at the verbs from a different perspective because we can divide them into more groups if we are looking for type of verbs, and instead of going for the meaning, we go for the grammatically differences. So there we have actually 6 different groups of verbs. Those are main verbs. That's just the basic verb that is actually describing as the state or the action before. Then we have auxiliary verbs. Those are the verbs that are actually used to form a tense. Like, for example, in English, it would be I was walking home, and in German, this is ich bin nach Hause gelaufen. So the was is an auxiliary verb and the bin is also the auxiliary verb. They don't mean to be here. They're just used to actually create this past tense. Then we have modal verbs. So that's können, sollen, müssen, for example. So can, must, and should are modal verbs. There's also a video about modal verbs that I will link for you in the info cards. There are reflexive verbs. Those are verbs that actually where the object refers back to the subject. So it's where you have to put, for example, sich konzentrieren. If you found this in a dictionary with an S dot, that's a reflexive verb. They exist in English too. It's the easiest if you check out my video about them, because that would be too much for this video right now. So you will find this in the info cards. And there are compound verbs. So those are the ones that have different parts, like ein, kaufen. So you have kaufen, to buy, and there's something in front of it. This is a compound verb. There's also a video to this which you will find in my playlist. I cannot link them all here because I can only link 5 videos in the info card, so that would be a little bit too much. But reflexive verbs is linked, and compound verbs you will find in the playlist, as well as participles. This is in English, for example, called the third version of the verb, like this go, went, gone.
The third version is a participle, for example, and this exists in German as well. There you find videos in the playlist as well about the past participle and the present participle. And there's another way of dividing verbs because they come in 3 different modes. The indicative, which is just a basic one that you've probably seen everywhere already. Then we have the imperative, which is if you give an order. This is imperative, same in English. And we have the conjunctive, the subjunctive. This is also a special mode that you use, for example, for wishes or for unreal things. I've linked that video in the info cards for you here as well. And the imperative you will find in the playlist. And on top of that, an action can be passive or active. There is an entire playlist about the passive voice in German as well. That's just a quick overview here. It pretty much works like English, just a little more complicated because you have to do conjugation. What is conjugation? Put in easy terms, you have to adjust the verb according to who you're talking about or who you're talking to. And for example, this is Ich gehe, I go, du gehst, you go, sie, es geht, he, she, it goes, wir gehen, we go, ihr geht, you go, sie gehen, they go. So you have to adjust endings in German. And yes, in English that looks much easier, but if you are already giving up, if you see this, don't do it because English does it, but with only one verb. In German, you have to do it with all of them because you do it already with to be. For example, ich bin is I am, but du bist is you are. Sie, es ist, he, she, it is. Wir sind, we are. Ihr seid, you are. Sie sind, they are. So you see, you're doing conjugation with to be. So it can't be that hard. In German, you just do it with all verbs. So not just with to be. But if you think like, ooh, too complicated, yes, it's more complicated in English, but it's a lot easier than, for example, Spanish. In Spanish, you have 3 different endings. In German, it's always this. It's not anything else. There's only this one version. A few irregular verbs that do whatever they want, but 95% of all verbs use this ending. So it's not 3 different ones in all tenses like in Spanish, so that's much easier. And that's pretty much everything you have to know about German verbs.
Now you know all the secrets of the German verb werden. Always keep in mind the thing with worden or geworden, depending on the thing what is in front. And keep in mind that you always check the sentence first. If you see it, if you actually use it here as auxiliary verb or as main verb, because this will change the entire sentence immediately if it actually means to become or if it's more like to what in English. So always check this first if you see it. And then if you've learned a lot today, I would highly appreciate if you leave your click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't done it yet, you subscribe to my YouTube channel. But if you have any further questions, just don't hesitate to put them in the comment section below. And if you like the ebook that you've just seen, yes, that's the last announcement, you'll find the link where you can actually buy it in the video description and in the comments below. And then I hope I will see you again in one of my other videos. And until then, viel Spaß und Erfolg beim Deutschlernen.